Good afternoon. So we're in the XJ40. We've just travelled from home up to the garage in Colville where we're looking to collect XJ-S. So XJ-S has been in the garage for probably around, nearly 2 months now. We've had some challenges getting some parts. XJ-S has been in for a lot of restorative, preventative maintenance, as we call it. We've had the rear subframe out, we've had it shot blasted, all of the shocks and springs have been off at the front axle. They've all been cleaned up, replaced as necessary. It's a whole set of bushes as well, so some of the traditional rubber bushes and some of the polyurethane bushes as well. The tracking and caster's been adjusted to make it a little bit more sporty. And also, I think from the list, we've also had a adjustable power steering kit fitted. So one of the things I've noticed when doing XJ-S track events is that at high speed, the power steering can get quite light. Most Jags from the 80s and 90s are quite heavily assisted with power steering. So what we've been able to do is source a kit from Rob Beer Engineering, which basically has a valve. And that valve allows you to adjust the level of assistance with the power steering. So hopefully that will be set up so it's a bit more sporty, so you get a little bit more feedback through the system rather than the heavy assistance that's set up by default. So we'll see how we get on with that. As I say, we're going to collect the car now, the XJ-S, and we're going to leave XJ40 here. So XJ40 is just going to go in for some routine servicing and probably a little bit of body work just around the arches, just to tidy up some of the crust that's started to form on there. So a bit of preventative maintenance on there, and probably the boot lip as well. So a few odds and sods for XJ40. It's really the XJ-S though that's been in for a lot of the work, the majority of work. I'm really pleased to be getting that back today. Got a car show next week. So hopefully the next time you'll see me will be in the XJ-S, and we'll have the 360 camera on and see if we get some footage and see how we get on. So we've got XJ-S back from the garage, which is really, really good news. I'm going to quickly go through everything that's been done in terms of parts. So we've had some bulbs. So I think one of the rear light bulbs had failed. We've had some new sub mounts, we've had V mounts, we've got upper and lower ball joints for the front axle as well. We've got bushes, the bush kit. We've also got the paint dip and shot blasting for the front subframe as well. The steering rack's been reconditioned as well because that was getting a little bit leaky. We've had some zinc plating done also for the fuel injection rail as well, which is really good news. We've got some shims in there, shield clamp as well. We've also now got some synthetic gearbox oil in here as well. So that already feels pretty smooth, which is really good news. The front bonnet struts were getting quite lazy, so they've been renewed as well. And then we're just into the service items. So we had a new fuel filter fitted. We've obviously got engine oil in there as well, oil filter of course. We've also changed the power assisted fluid as well, because as mentioned earlier, we have fitted a adjustable power steering kit as well, so it'd be good to see how that feels. We've done the air conditioning regas as well, antifreeze and brake fluids. That's pretty much all of the fluids, which is really, really good news. So that's all been done. We've also had an MOT done as well, and that has passed without issue. With no advisories. Just double checking that. Yep, no advisories. And you'll also be very pleased to note that the hydrocarbon limit on the exhaust emissions is way within tolerance. So the limit is 1,200 parts per million. This one did 199, so that's excellent. Similarly with CO2 emissions as well, so the allowable limit is 3.5%. The actual value is 0.682, so really pleased with that as well. So the engine is running in fine fettle. Only slight challenge we've had is with the front fog light covers. So unfortunately, with those front fog light covers, they're there to protect obviously the glass that's there. It's quite low to the ground. They're right at the front of the car, so the chance of them getting struck by debris is quite high. so that's why they're there. Now the challenge is with the MOT, you test all the lights, and there's a switch down here to switch on and off the lights, the fog lights and so on and so forth. The problem we've had is that unfortunately the MOT tester wasn't that familiar with it, and he left the lights on, and they were left on overnight with the fog cap covers on, and as a consequence they've melted. So now we've got a bit of a challenge trying to find some replacement fog light covers. I'll see if I can get a picture or some footage of the actual fog light covers, so you'll see what I mean when I say that they've melted. Very unfortunate, but otherwise everything is fine. We're now going to set back home from Colville to home. Hopefully a straightforward journey with minimal traffic with any luck. So we're back again, and I thought now that I've taken the chance to clean up the car a little, I'd show you some of the modifications and talk through some of the changes that we've made over the years. So the first obvious thing here is this is the V12 Coupe, and you'll see that we've actually got a 5-speed manual box. So this is a Getrag 265 box from a 1989 XJ-S 3.6. Quite a tough box. There's also a Getrag 290 that's used as an option as well, but the 265 was used extensively with the manual XJ-S 3.6 straight 6 AJ6 engine, and I think the 290, the Getrag 290, was then latterly used with the 4-litre XJ-S, the AJ6 and possibly the AJ16 engined models. So it's very unusual to see a 5-speed manual box of V12. The V12s pre-HE used a GM400 transmission, which is a 3-speed turbo hydraulic unit, with the later facelift models using a similar version to that GM400. I think it's a GM400E for electronic, where basically it's pretty much the same ratios as the 3-speed automatic unit, but with an extra overdrive sort of 4th gear to give it longer legs on the motorway and for more relaxed, better fuel consumption and just a more leisurely kind of performance rather than the highly strung or high RPM V12 buzzing under the hood. So that's pretty much it internally. Oh, I should mention that the cruise control that actually works. That's unusual. So basically what we've done is we've put a 3.6 donor cars pedal box. Let's get my clunky feet out of the way. So yeah, the 3.6 pedal box down there, which means we've actually got a pedal position sensor on the clutch and the brake, so that what we're able to do is then use this Econo Cruise system, which is vacuum driven, and pair it up with a 3.6 clutch switch down there, so that now we have a fully functioning cruise control system, which is quite unusual because most manual conversions for the V12 don't have an operational cruise control. Oh, the other obvious modification here is the Alpine CDE unit here, which is pretty good, which I use to Bluetooth with my phone. So under the hood, you can see here we've got the 5.3 V12 associated with the pre-facelift XJ-S. Number of modifications we've done under here as well. You can see here that we've got the XK-RS style wider air intakes here. And if you look also here, you won't be able to see this, but the air intakes here going into the intake manifold actually has a larger butterfly disc. It's drilled out to 2.8 inches rather than the standard 2.6, so it improves induction. Again, in here you won't be able to see it, but actually the intake manifolds on both sides actually have some tuning pipes inside. So what they do, there's a company out there that cuts these open on the underside so you can't see the welds, and literally puts in tuning pipes, the lengthier bits of pipe inside each intake, so that it improves the mid-range torque. So around 3,250 RPM, which is quite low for a V12, you'll get an extra surge of torque, which is very, very handy for when using either on the track or also on the road. The V12 5.3 stainless polished steel cover, that's not standard, it just makes this look a little bit pretty. But underneath here, you may be able to make out that we've actually had the injectors serviced. We've also replaced all of the rubber under here as well, because it was the original rubber fuel lines, which is never good from a safety point of view. They do degrade, as it does get very hot in there as well. In there you can also just about make out the distributor. Coming around here, you see that we've got some non-standard, I think it's Kevlar, 2 ply cooling pipes, non-standard again. Again here you can see the throttle capstans over here. Air conditioning compressor. It's a large Harrison A5 compressor, very large. A lot of early Jaguars tend to use the larger compressors. More modern cars have something much more smaller and more fuel efficient. Again, on the other side, on the right bank, you can see the shortened intake in there as well. Just makes it help breathe. Actually, on these, it's not really visible from here, but there is actually, maybe I see a shiny thing down there, just about, there is actually a cold air feed on both of these air intakes as well. The car is set up really well. I'm really pleased with the way the front end is feeling now. The adjustable power steering is still set to quite light assist, but the feedback I'm getting for the steering is much improved, and I think that's probably more to do with the fact that the steering rack has been rebuilt, and also all of the various bushing, all the new bushings that have been put on as well. It feels really good, really precise. Very pleased. So I guess all that's to say now is just literally put the car in the garage, cover it up, and then hopefully next time we'll see it will be for a car show.